Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello there, welcome along. This is Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, SMEs and business owners. Now, today's show, we're going to be asking, does your business have assets or does it have liabilities? Now, what do we mean by that as well? All to be explained in just a moment. Joining me in the studio today is an old friend of the program. It's great to have him back on the show. Always an entertaining hour, and also great if you're in business and you're trying to maybe come up with new ideas, new solutions. He is the prudent marketeer. His name is Steve Mills. Steve, it's lovely to have you with us today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Steve. It's great to be back and really looking forward to the program.
Well, you know, it's a kind of, it's different. A lot of people will know you for your skills when it comes to LinkedIn. You've done some very successful programs when it comes to LinkedIn.
That's very kind.
And also how to use social media within your business and how to go out there and grow lists. For those people that have never heard of you before, how would you sum yourself up?
Well, in two words, the prudent marketer. My belief about marketing is that most people in small businesses don't market themselves anywhere near to the level that they could. And I help and advise people in how to do just that, how to raise their game and get better results out of each and every sales and marketing action that they take and pound that they invest.
Is it somewhat frustrating when you go into businesses and you are talking to them and you can see they have a great business, but what they're not doing, they're not exploiting it to the most. I mean, nearly every business, we do that. You probably do it as well. But
absolutely.
I mean, do you go in there and you bang the Bible and you tell them what they should be doing, but in fact you're probably making the same mistakes yourself in some areas of your own business?
Yeah, sure. Nothing's perfect, is it? You know, you look at my website or your website and...
they're as near as damn it.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't think anybody can say this is perfect. It couldn't be any better. As you know, Steve, I've got a background as a sportsman, having played table tennis at international level, and I think that what that brings to the table is this desire to squeeze that extra, inch out of myself and my business, and that's the attitude that I bring to my clients, helping them. How do you get more out of what you're already doing?
Do you think it's down to tenacity then, because you've got that? For instance, we were talking about internet marketeers prior to coming on, how you grow lists and how you do things like that. Are small businesses going, do you think, more and more towards this kind of internet marketing kind of model, where nearly going back to the long form internet sales pages and things like that? The list is becoming more important. We've got GDPR, of course, around the corner, so therefore some people's lists will actually, because of the natural fallout, will become more laser targeted in the marketing that they're doing. Do you see that in the future for it? Do you think?
I do see that in the future, yeah. But the biggest problem though is actually keeping up to date with marketing. You know, back in the good old days, it was buy the biggest Yellow Pages advert you could afford and send out lots of letters. And okay, I'm being a little bit tongue-in-cheek there, but
you're right.
It was nowhere near as complicated and complex as it is now. So there's a couple of issues I think businesses are facing. A, they don't know what to do, and B, they don't know how to do it. And one of my little sayings that I have is often in businesses when I work with them, it's not that they're doing the wrong marketing, they're doing the right marketing, but wrong. You know, they're not they've pretty much every business has got a website. It's out there. But what are they actually doing in terms of marketing that website? Are they getting traffic to it? If they're getting traffic to it, is it converting? If they're doing emails, how well is that working? Could it be working better? How can you improve the effectiveness of each and every asset or liability, if you've got marketing assets and marketing liabilities, where are you and what could you do better?
I like what you did there. You've led us nicely into what we're going to be talking about today. We're not talking about the financial spreadsheets that you probably have in front of you when you open your business plan and there's the assets and liabilities of your particular business. What we're talking about today is within your business, the actions that you take, the premises that you have, the way you manage your staff. Are your staff, or is your staff, depending how many you've got, are they liabilities or are they assets? And if they are assets, someone just whispered, all the staff here are liabilities, but are you maximising your return on your investment in them, and are you turning them as assets? Are you getting the most out of them, or are they becoming liabilities to your business? Where do you think is the most important area of this? Because you run a small business, you have staff working for you. Is it in the buildings? Is it in the people? Is it in the marketing? Is it in your sales technique? Where do you start with this? How do you start analysing what's an asset, what's a liability?
I think, clearly people are a big thing, aren't they, in any business? They're probably the biggest cost, and probably the most important part of any business is the people that work for you. However, if you look at most small business owners in terms of their expertise, they're often what I call operational experts. So the landscape gardener starts their own landscape gardening business. They've been doing it 20 years, and as far as the quality of the work that they do, that's really, really good. However, the liabilities side of it comes in, they're probably not very good at marketing it, and probably not very good at the financial side. So, in all those three areas, you've got assets and liabilities. The question is, which are they? Are they assets or are they liabilities? And how can you improve in those key areas? So I think that in short, the answer is, for most businesses, the problem is managing the money and selling the stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about the gardener. I know this will come as a surprise, but the gentleman that I see that cuts my hair, he is actually beginning to operate a very successful business. So he is packed out all the way through the day.
Okay.
He is taking future appointments for different people.
Uh-huh.
And what he's doing is that when people come in to book, he takes their first name and he writes it in pencil in a diary. He has no recollection or memory or record of who actually came in. He's not building any list. What he is doing is completely passive income. Okay. And I stand back and I think to myself, businesses, your business would give their eye teeth to be able to have people coming to the website, because that's what it is. It's traffic through the door.
Yeah.
Just to record the name and email address so you can say, bit of a quiet month, I'll put an offer out.
Yeah.
And you just think to yourself, that's just crazy. What an opportunity on the plate. And he's missing out on it.
Well, one of the great things about the hairdressing industry as a whole is repeat business. If I come and get my hair...
For a limited period of time.
Yeah, okay, not for everybody. But yeah, it's getting that repeat business. So once you get somebody in and they buy your service, you do a great job for them, they will probably come back time and time and time again. But you're right, most hairdressing salons are not very good capturing that, and they're losing out on a fortune, I believe.
Where do you start when you go into a business? You're doing talks on this now, and what prompted you to be looking at assets and liabilities within businesses? Is it something that you noticed yourself within your own business that you weren't capitalising on? Because I know you use a lot of automation within your business. You use things like Infusionsoft.
Yeah.
You use all of that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Oops. But it's very complicated initially, isn't it?
It is very complex.
It's jokingly called Confusionsoft, but it is. Everybody I speak to who uses it properly, this is Infusionsoft, the ones that use it properly see it as an absolute tool, don't they, within their business?
Absolutely.
And then you get some people who don't use it right, and they just say it's just too confusing.
They just use it as a CRM system and send out a few emails,
So going back to your business then, what prompted you then to look at the assets and the liabilities?
I think it's just the realisation that, you know, nothing's perfect. My business is not perfect. My website's certainly not perfect, and it can always be improved. And, you know, I've spent now nearly 30 years working with small businesses and helping them to do just that. So when I do go back into a business or work with a business for the first time, the first thing I look at is their assets and liabilities. Obviously, being a marketing person, I'm looking at the sales and marketing assets and liabilities. So rather than, you know, being someone who comes in and says, right, let's try this, let's try that, here's something new you can try, why don't we just get the best out of what you're doing right now, you know, so that, you know, the listeners to the program right now could go back to their business and go back to their marketing and say, how can we get this to do more than it's already doing?
It's really interesting, isn't it? So how can you actually turn around and do that? What are the things that you need to be thinking about when you're looking at your business, and are you getting the most out of the assets that you already have in your business? I think there's always this temptation all the time to want to reinvent the wheel, I would say, isn't it? To go back into your business and go, well, we've done it, we're doing it this way, but let's just change all of that and do it a different way.
Yeah. I'll give you a great example. Many years ago, I was working with a company. They were called Nicholas Visa, a Spanish company. And they sold the massive, great big recycling equipment into local authorities. They were advertising on a glossy back page of a magazine that was given out to thousands upon thousands of local authorities. And this advert was costing them £2,000 per month. They'd been advertising for 6 months and they'd won 0 leads, absolutely nothing. So they'd already invested £12,000. And I said to them, you know, what do you think you can do to improve the return on investment that you're getting from the advert? And they said, you know, Steve, we don't know. And I said, well, what does your equipment do? And they said, well, it basically saves local authorities 25 to 30% on recycling costs. So I said, well, why don't you change the headline from Nicholas Visa, which was the name of the company, it was the headline on their advert, to local authorities save 25 to 30% on recycling costs. That following month, Steve, they turned in 2 sales. They got 2 sales from the advert, which came to just over £5 million. So it took me a couple of minutes just to change the headline, and all of a sudden the results were remarkably different. Now, okay, if you bring that into a modern world and you look at the headlines on your website and the headlines on your email, or even the headline when you stand up at a networking event and say, hi, my name is, and this is what I do. All these things are headlines, and just by changing, by testing the result that you get from a particular headline in an advert or an email or a web page, you can often increase results from 10% to 100% to 1,000% maybe, and it costs absolutely nothing, and yet most businesses don't ever think about doing that.
More from Steve Mills in just a few moments' time. The prudent marketeer here will be, or marketer. I always call you the marketeer because it sounds grammatically correct, but there we are. The prudent marketer. Steve Mills with us on today's edition of Business Connections Live. Well, you're watching Business Connections Live. We're live on a Monday. If you're watching us on Ustream, hello there, welcome along. If you're watching us on Periscope, go on and press that screen a couple of times, give us a few hearts, tell us how much you're enjoying the program. We really appreciate that. And also we'll see if we can give you a mention as well as the program progresses. A bit difficult because the program is repurposed after it goes out on a Monday live, so it ends up on a number of different platforms all over the place. It also becomes a program that's available as a download as well on different podcast sites too. But if you are watching live right now, thank you very much indeed. If you're on Facebook, if you have a comment about what you're hearing, perhaps maybe you have a story yourself that you'd like to share with us here on the show, well, why don't you just jot it down, leave the comment under the program? That'd be really appreciative. Would really like to get your name out there in the ether. So let us know who you are, what your story is, and maybe we can go from there. And if you're watching on YouTube, the global audience that is on YouTube, we really appreciate that too. Now, it's interesting because today's program kind of dovetails ever so nicely into last week's edition of the program, where we had Antonio Falco on the program. You know Antonio, don't you?
I do, yes.
Yes,
I do,
Antonio
yeah.
Falco. It's we're a small niche group of experts. And Antonio was on the program. He calls himself the sales director, and he was focusing on the next sale regardless of Brexit. What he was saying, it was very interesting because Ralston, who is one of the team here, he was watching at home last week. He couldn't make it into the studio. And it was his comment that came back afterwards, which kind of really solidified the whole thought of the entire show into one sentence. He came back and he said it is about getting up off your backside and going out there and actually doing it. And the danger is that we sit back and we look for excuses on an ongoing basis of all the reasons why we can't do something, why we can't change our website, why we can't change our documentation, why we can't change the way that we do our email, why we can't get out there and ask people, at the moment, the big excuse is, well, Brexit. The German car manufacturers are sitting and they are looking through the round hole at the moment. They are realising that adrenaline is changing colour in front of their very eyes because a huge market of 60 million people potentially could have a tariff between them and their sales. Now, that's really, really serious. Now, of course, what came out of the show last week from Antonio is that he's of the opinion within 5 years everything will be fine and we will have the trade and everything will sort itself out because that's the way it will move forward. But can we allow ourselves to be sitting in the business doldrums at the moment without moving our businesses forward and getting on with putting the meals on the table tomorrow? Should we be out there doing something today? That was his suggestion. Give you some of the highlights from last week's show. Here's Antonio Falco, the sales director. On today's show, we're going to be focusing on the next sale regardless of Brexit. There's a lot of uncertainty out there, I think, in the business environment, business markets. And I think we just need to put our stake in the sand a little bit at the moment and be a little bit more positive when it comes to what is in front of us when it comes to Brexit. Is Brexit affecting your business at the moment? Are you finding it difficult in your business, or are you just holding back a little bit? Joining me in the studio today is Antonio Falco. He is the sales director. You may remember Antonio from previous editions of the program where he came on. He is a pro-Brexiteer.
I think that, yes, people are holding back, and I think that it comes into two different parts, Steve. People are holding back in terms of investment. So at the moment, I think you'll find that there are trillions of pounds sitting in business accounts because businesses want to have as much certainty as possible before they start spending money. So you've actually got now uncertainty building up because of time and uncertainty because of lack of what seems to be lack of direction. And I say seems to be lack of direction because I think what we see in the news and what we hear in the news might be slightly different than what's going on in the background in terms of these Brexit negotiations. Let's just clarify a few things. First of all, if you look at Barnier's position is to represent the EU. He's not actually. So his job is EU orientated, which strangely means that he's not actually representing 27 different countries. I think behind the scenes, the 27 countries of the EU actually want to put together an intelligent, sensible agreement for all parties. Nobody who's voted for Brexit has voted for no trade with anybody. Nobody's voted to completely get rid of this opportunity of selling to 27 different countries. And by the way, I just want to make something very, very clear because it's actually incorrect to say that it's a single market. It is not a single market. It's a trading bloc of 27 countries. And they are not having to deal with the same rules if they're selling to Germany or Greece or Poland. There are different rules applying when you sell to those countries because those countries have their own set of rules depending on the product you want to sell them. The problem with all of this is that it's distracting those people that are watching this program and are running a business. It's distracting them from their day-to-day activity of getting on with it. And so I'll repeat my message. Do not let any of this stuff that we cannot control adversely affect your business. And I will say to people, look at your business at the moment. What is the sales cycle from when you actually talk to a potential customer to when they actually give you an order? If that's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and by the way, if you don't understand it, get to understand it quickly. But look at your business, because you don't want to be here in 9 months' time without a business, because for sure, as eggs is eggs, you will have no business. Having said to yourself, I only wish I'd started 9 months ago and ignored all this nonsense. And remember, if you've got salespeople, the only true value of a salesperson is their ability to create something out of nothing, and that starts by picking the phone up and talking to a potential customer. That's how it works. We only start to think about what our business is about when we're trying to explain it to somebody else. That's when you start to understand your business, when you have to explain it to somebody else. And typically you're trying to explain your business to a potential new customer. My name is Antonio Falco and I'm the sales director. What I would say to you is this: if you are running a small business or a business, we want you to be successful, because without businesses like yours being successful, we have no economy, we have no taxes, we have no country, and we have no jobs. So the key is to be successful. To be successful, get focused. Understand what it is you're trying to sell and to who, and try and understand what they need to hear in order to buy your product or service. And to do all of that, pick the phone up and speak to people. As much as we'd like them to come to us, I think it's better if we try and control our own destiny by picking the phone up and trying to get to speak to people about how we can help them. Your business is about how you can help somebody, not just about taking money from them.
If you've missed it, I do suggest you get back onto your PC or go to iTunes or go to one of the places that you can watch the program. Go to the website, businessconnectionslive.com, and watch the entire show. There are show notes that are there. We tell you what you're going to see. We tell you what you're going to find out during the program. And it may just give you that little bit of a push, the impetus that you need to turn your business around. You may be sitting in the doldrums yourself at the moment. You may be worrying about Brexit. Listen, there's nothing in the world that we can do about it. It's just going to happen around us, so what we've got to do is make the best of it. And interestingly, the number of businesses that I have spoken to, and I don't know whether you've seen this, but there's so many businesses out there that have said that this year actually is proving to be a busy year. Since around about just before August, June, July, all of a sudden there seemed to be an explosion of people that have been hanging on, and now we're all very busy. Have you seen that in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. In my business and in lots of businesses of my clients, yeah, absolutely. Definitely.
So, you know, if you are sitting there going, well, just wait for them to sort out the Brexit thing, it'll be fine. And if it's not fine, it's still going to be fine, because we've just got to get on with it. Listen, if you're also enjoying today's program and you think to yourself, hey, this program is looking fantastic, imagine sending a program like this conversational way of getting your message about your business, positioning your business as a market leader, as an industry expert, maybe getting your chief CEO or something to come on a program just like this. Wouldn't that be an incredible way to promote and market your business and your products? Would you like a program just like this one? Would you like it to be completely customized so it had your branding on it? If you would, it's dead easy. Why don't you get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live? All you got to do is drop us an email to this address. In fact, I suggest you do it right now. Linda is waiting. She's by the email machine, the computer. Thank you very much for reminding me. The address is studio@businessconnectionslive.com. That is studio@businessconnectionslive.com. If you want to have a chat, why don't you pick the phone up and give us a call? 01784 256 777. Lots of things in the paper this weekend saying the younger generation don't want to have conversations anymore. They want to do everything by text. Listen, if you are a business owner, pick the phone up. Take the edge. Be a leader. 01784 256 777. And it may not be having a program like this, but maybe just how you present yourself better on camera. We can help you with that as well. I know I'm not a great example, but if you want to learn some of the skills and the techniques and getting in touch with us there. If you want to follow our stream of consciousness, then you can do that on Twitter. We'll be talking more about Twitter in a while, BCL Business TV. Don't forget as well, leave your comments on Facebook. But more importantly, please do visit the website where you'll get over 250 hours of free business advice for your business, your organisation. Maybe you're self-employed, you just want to grow your business, there's going to be something there. Just go to businessconnectionslive.com. So then, on today's show, we are asking the question, does your business have assets or does it have liabilities? My guest in the studio today is Steve Mills, the prudent marketer. Going to get it right this time. The prudent marketer. Steve, as we said earlier on, lovely to have you with us. We were talking that everything is an asset, everything is a liability within your organisation. Before we start looking at the bricks and mortar of it, let's look at some of the soft skills and how we change those from being liabilities into assets. When it comes to the likes of, well, marketing budgets for one, and also the time that we have. How do we turn, I mean, some people will see that as you're going to have it anyway within your organisation.
Sure.
How do you, first of all, decide whether it's a liability, and how do you turn it into an asset?
I think as far as a marketing budget of time and money, these days it's gone much more time orientated than money orientated. For example, social media, often businesses invest time in that more than money.
Is that a good investment, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
is social media still the right... But does it really work? Because there's a lot of business owners out there that'll be saying, you know what, I've tried social media and really I get no concrete feedback from it.
Yeah, I think like most things marketing, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In my experience, which as I said dates back nearly 30 years now, I'd say the biggest reason that marketing doesn't work is when people do the right marketing wrong.
Now, what do you mean by that? Give us an example, if you can.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about video. Yeah,
right.
We're here today, and you've just done a little promotion for video. If you looked at video and how most small businesses use video, the truth is they FDI. They fail to implement. They don't actually either don't have it or they do it really badly. Now, you know, I'm not here to sort of say, you know, somebody should come and buy all your services, Steve. But the bottom line is hiring somebody professionally who knows what they're doing, like you guys do, is such a fantastic investment because, you know, we can be much more visual on a video. We can be persuasive. I can be passionate about what I'm doing. I can be empathetic. And that's very difficult to physically write down. So I'm a massive believer in the power of video. And yet, if you ask me, if you took 100 businesses right now, any list of 100 businesses, and said to me, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are all those businesses at using this awesome media called video? I'd say probably most of them are less than a 2. Yeah, they're not good enough. It's not good enough. It needs to be better. They need to use it. And
it is a worry, isn't it?
Well,
it is a worry because we spend fortunes on our letterhead design.
Yeah.
And we go out of our way to print it. We're working with an organisation who are just about to change their logo. They've spent a fortune changing the font. That's what they've done. They've spent a fortune changing the font and spreading the letters out a little bit.
Yeah.
And it is scary, the amount of money, but that will be seen with higher priority than the image and the message, the core message that the business had. And that really can be broadcast in such an effective way if you're talking to the camera.
Yeah.
But then we have all these other fallacies that are out there, the things like, yes, keep it short. Well, actually, keep it engaging is probably the most important thing.
I have to say to people, it's not about keeping it short, it's about keeping it interesting.
Yes.
You know, the show goes on for an hour. People watch it for an hour because it's interesting. If it wasn't, they'd soon tune out.
There is an expression for it, but we can't use it on the air because we do know that some children do watch it. But okay, so you know, there's one aspect of your marketing budget that you, and thank you very much for the recommendation, your marketing budget. What about the tools that you're doing? And Is it a case that we're not looking at our marketing, our budget, our marketing time? Is this whole thing about it being a liability or not? Is it a case of saying the marketing isn't producing the results that I need at the moment? Therefore, because of that, it is actually a business liability.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're marketing, spending money on marketing, I'll just use advertising as an easy example. Let's say it's advertising on LinkedIn, pay-per-click advertising. You're advertising on there. And that's costing you, let's say, £2 every time somebody clicks on your advert on LinkedIn and goes to your website. Now, you've got a £50 budget per day, so that's costing you £100 per day. My question to my clients is always, what is your return on investment of that £100? You know, how many inquiries do you get from that? From those 50 leads, 50 clicks to your website, how many people inquire? Now, if those numbers are something like, well, 5 people inquire out of the 50, and out of that, that turns into, let's say, 2 meetings, and out of that, that turns into 1 sale, and my average unit of sale is £1,000 with, let's say, £500 profit. My question is, how often would you like to do that deal? In other words, how often would you like to invest £100 in something and get 500 back? Mm-hmm. Now, for me, I'd do that all day long, every day. I'd have an infinite budget. I'd be happy to invest £1 million and get 5 million back, wouldn't you?
But isn't it a case that people stand back and they look at the initial figures and they look at the results, but it's the initial figures, it's the getting it going. I've seen Facebook ads that say, look at how I've spent $200,000 on Facebook advertising, and my return has been £2 million. And of course, you would do it all day long.
You would,
if you could guarantee that return on your investment.
The problem is that people start off with this, they try it, and then they try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks. They set up their LinkedIn advert, they try it for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, or maybe a couple of months, they think, well, that hasn't worked. Let's go and do something else. So they work like little butterflies, going from one thing to another, finding out loads of things that don't work. Now, I don't know about you, Steve, but I don't always get it right the first time. And I certainly don't always get it right in marketing the first time, even though I'm a sort of high level of expertise in it, been doing it for 30 years. It's my aim, it's my passion, it's what I love, and I still get it wrong. And so I go on to LinkedIn, I set up my advert, I measure and monitor it, going in there every couple of days, see how well my advert's performing, see how many leads I'm creating, and then I say to myself, how can I do that better? How can I improve the number of leads that I'm getting? So I can do that 2 ways. One, I can improve the advert on LinkedIn, and I can improve the targeting. Who's the advert being shown to? So I can do some work on LinkedIn to improve that. And then 2, when people go to my web page, is that web page converting? And one of the great ways, again, I'm going to say this because it's absolutely true, of improving the conversion rate of a web page is to add video to it. You know, my web pages convert about 30% better when there's a video on it. That's my actual figure. It varies. Sometimes it's 40%, sometimes maybe it's 20%. But I always get an uplift when I'm driving traffic from LinkedIn, coming into my website. When there's a video on there, it increases conversion rate.
How important do you think price is then when you're converting as well? Is price important, or are you selling a dream?
Oh, that's a good question. I think price is important.
We were talking outside, weren't we, about some of these where you sign up for different clubs and things like that. Do you go cheap as chips, therefore loads of people will do it, or do you make it a premium product where it becomes a considered purchase and therefore people feel that they're really buying into something?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have a cheap as chips product that people can just buy into. It's like a first sale, but then you know, for me, you've got to then have an upsell to that. You know, having something that hundreds or thousands of people will buy. You know, for example, you know, a lot of people have a book. A lot of consultants, for example, have a book. They sell thousands of books, or often give them away, to create that sort of feeling of this person's a real expert in what they do. And then they have services, consultancy services, training services that they sell at a much higher level than they would obviously a book.
You got a book?
I have. I've got 4 books.
You got 4 books?
I have.
And have you seen an uplift in your business from the 4 books?
I tend to, yes and no. I tend to win business as a result of going and speaking at events, but I don't win business from selling the actual book, because often I actually give my books away, Steve, because that's, again, a really powerful statement, because people look at it and think, oh, he's written a book. He must really know what he's talking about. Not necessarily so.
No, in your case,
but obviously
in your case, it is necessary.
It is, yeah.
These are the books, aren't they?
No, they're not actually. They're just different services, Steve, that you're looking at right now on my website.
But by the way, just I'm pointing to his website here, and just if you want to find out more about Steve, the prudentmarketer.com is the address that you go to. Here's some of the services that Steve: business growth advice, social media lead generation, outsource your marketing, LinkedIn training. And interestingly, as you go up the top of the page, there is in fact a rather handsome video there of Steve, and of course you've got the list going back. It's actually looking at your background, being a sportsman, what you did, where you've gone, and the kind of experiences Steve actually has. It's a really good video, by the way, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, who was it produced that, Steve?
I can't remember for the life of me at the moment. But there we go then. All right, let's give some key takeaways then at this very point. How to increase lead generation then. If you had to encapsulate it and to put it into an easily digestible kind of list, how would you go about doing it?
I'd say number 1 is take a look at everything that you're doing and work out what you need to improve it. So that could be improving the headline, improving the words, improving the use of pictures, improving the target market, and so on and so forth. I'd also say, you mentioned it a little while ago, Steve, and that is get on the phone. Get on the phone. You know, there's all this social media stuff around these days, and people sending out emails. And we win a lot of business from particularly LinkedIn and also from sending out emails. But the thing that I do that other people don't do is to follow it up on the phone. So we'll, for example, use Infusionsoft. We send out a message to thousands of people. We know instantly, because of the software that we use, that somebody's opened that email 1 minute ago, and they're probably still reading the email. And we can then just pick up the phone and say, hi, Steve Mills here. I sent you an email yesterday, and I noticed with the technology that we use that you're currently...
Do you tell them that?
Yeah. I think you just have to
They don't
be
think
honest.
it's a bit spooky that you're phoning up?
Yeah, I know clients
Can you see me from where I'm sitting?
who say, I don't know whether you've had a chance to read it or not. And they go, well, I was just reading it. Oh, were you? Or what?
And you're wearing a white shirt and a dark jacket.
Yeah, it's a little bit spooky, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, we tell them with the technology that we've got, we know that you've just read it. What did you think? You've got any questions? You know, do you want to maybe meet up in order to discuss it? And that's probably the key to social media and to email marketing.
Be reactive.
Pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah. Sorry to sort of interrupt there, but I was talking the other day to a client and try and help with sales. And I asked them a question. I said, so how many calls did you make yesterday? And he said, well, do you know, Steve, I've been busy. I did this to do, I had to write a report, and I did this and that. And, you know, as you say, just made a load of excuses and never actually gave me a number at all. You know, even in this day of modern technology and email and digital and all that sort of thing, I think, you know, picking up the phone, there's nothing like speaking to people.
How many calls did you make on Friday?
On Friday, I made 33 calls on Friday.
Let that be a lesson to us all. 33 calls. And it wasn't a made-up number either, was it? That
No,
was,
it wasn't. Yeah.
And how many people did you get
my
through to?
stats. I know my marketing numbers.
How many people did you get through to?
I spoke to 12, and I got 2 meetings.
Wouldn't we all like to be doing that? And I think that is the essence of this, isn't it? You've actually got to get on and do it. I think Brad Burton once has said that one of his books, actually, excuse the language, but Get Up Off Your Ass and Just Do It, is the title of his books, isn't it? And it just goes to show you. And, you know, Brad is very much something that will do that kind of thing, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Get out there and just do it. Take action. You know, Tony Robbins says knowledge is a waste of time. It's the application of knowledge is everything. Being on listening to this is a waste of time until and unless you do something as a result of it. And that's what's going to get you results. It's like joining a gym. You know, joining the gym is of no value whatsoever. So only when you get down and you start doing the curls and get on the running machine and so on, when you take action, that's where you get results. So pick up the phone.
More from Steve Mills in just a few moments' time. As you can see, I'm a keen gym goer. This beautifully honed body of mine. Still more to come on this edition of Business Connections Live. Right then, let's go back in time. Let's get some more expert advice for you today. Websites that work for your business. We'll go back to Business Connections Live 167. It went out on the 30th of Jan at the beginning of the year. Polly Buckland, Managing Director of the Typeface Group, she joined us here at the studio. It was a whistle-stop tour of the key elements that need to be considered if you want your website to work for you. Let's face it, we all want our websites to work for you. Are you getting the linguistics right? Are you getting the text right? Are you using video on your website at the moment? She invited you to take your website performance to the next level on this edition of the program, but the key takeaways from the show were a real insight into what we should all be considering when it comes to making certain that our websites work for our business. Here's Polly.
And the key takeaways for me really are: look at your Google Analytics, understand how your website is performing before you invest any more time and energy into it, and then when you do so with a plan. So have a decent keyword analysis, understand what your users are looking for, make sure that you make it easy to read for them and easy to find. Have a mixture of text, image and video on your website, and make sure that it's all mobile friendly, otherwise you're not going to get found.
Okay.
Polly Buckland there, and a really good show as well. If you do get an opportunity, do check it out. She really did. She was a really smart lady. There's no two ways about it. And the information that she gave on the show, along with her business associate who joined us as well on the show, Polly Buckland, Managing Director of the Typeface Group, and that was Business Connections Live 167. You can find all the programs, by the way, on the website at businessconnectionslive.com. And thousands of you, by the way, look at me pointing at you now. Thousands of you are downloading the program each and every month on iTunes. Thank you for that. In fact, we would say that iTunes is a great way. If you've got a message to get out there, set up an iTunes account, put your programs out there on a regular basis. Even if you're doing 5-minute marketing hints and tips or whatever, use iTunes because it is such a fantastic platform. It's global for a start. It's free to do. What more could you possibly want to do? We use a company called Liability to actually distribute our RSS feed. For those of you that are in the know, you know what I'm talking about. But it's straightforward. It is easy to do. But what we're asking you to do is that if you are listening to the program on iTunes or watching the program on iTunes at the moment, please do leave a review. That's really going to help us out here at Business Connections Live. It's dead easy to do. Just open your iTunes account. You'll find the program when you go searching for it. Just look for Business Connections Live. You'll find a tab in there that says Ratings and Reviews. Click on the Ratings and Reviews tab, and then that will take you down to where you can leave a review. Now, if you're finding today's program or any of the programs helpful and useful in your business, well, give us a 5-star review. Tell us how great you think they are. And then what will happen within iTunes is when somebody is watching an alternative or another business program, yes, there are others, when somebody is watching one of the other shows, at the end of it, the analytics within iTunes or the algorithms within iTunes, they will then I'll say that again, they'll then recommend our program for them to watch as well. And that's a big help. So as I said, thousands of people are currently downloading on a monthly basis. If you're one of them, thank you very much indeed. And if you want to help us grow that audience to make it an even larger global audience, then that would be fabulous. Really interesting. UK, obviously. America, obviously. China. is probably, I think, the third largest. We get viewership across Europe, Australasia, but China, huge audience in China. They are, well, if you're listening at the moment in China, we understand, this is great information for you as well. So thank you very much indeed for watching the program, but please do leave a review. You're watching Business Connections Live. On the show today, we're asking the question, do you have assets or liabilities within your business? We've looked at perhaps maybe some of your marketing efforts. Is your marketing efforts, is it a liability or is it an asset? Just very quickly, when it comes to improving your lead conversion, you alluded to it there, Steve, about the fact that what people need to do, need to pick the phone up and they need to contact them. Is there any other very quick hints and tips that we can turn this wasted time, the liability of sitting at a desk and not doing anything, into an asset where you are truly picking the phone up? Is there, in what you say, are there clever things that you can do that will hook the person on the end of the line?
On the end of the line, when you're actually speaking to people, I think one of the keys is being open and honest with people, and actually telling them right from the start that this is a sales call. A lot of salespeople make the mistake of going, "Oh, hi,
How are you today?
How are you? Yeah, how are you? Yeah. How often do we hear that? As soon as we hear, "How are you today?" It's a sales call.
Yeah.
How can I get rid of this person? How I do it is I phone. In fact, to start with, I never make cold calls. I make lukewarm calls. I call people that to some level know me, like me and trust me. So for example, I call people who visited my profile on LinkedIn. So I get a list every day of people who've already looked at me on LinkedIn. And I go, "Oh, hi, Steve Mills here. Just thought I'd give you a call. I noticed on LinkedIn that you'd had a look at my profile, and I just wondered whether there was anything I could help you with right now." And we have a conversation about that, and that works wonderfully. That's probably from social media, that's my number one tip in terms of winning business from social media.
So if we watched no more of the program today, if we were just to do that, have a decent LinkedIn profile, that actually showed and said what we did, so that it does introduce you as somebody.
Yeah.
How do you get their numbers? Do you just do a bit of research on their numbers?
Yeah, often their numbers are on their profile anyway, on the right-hand side anyway, and if they're not, just click on their website, go there and get their contact details. So it just couldn't be easier. LinkedIn makes it so easy to do. And I convert about 1 in 5 of those people into a meeting.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So every 5, if I make 5 calls, I'm going to get 1 meeting, and I turn 70%, approximately 70% of my meetings into business.
So
it's
then,
brilliant.
We've looked at our marketing, and we've now turned it from where we started. It was a liability. It wasn't being productive. It wasn't giving us the leads that we wanted. And now we've given some hints and tips, and we've now turned our marketing, even by those small hints and tips, into more of an asset.
Indeed.
Where else should we be looking within our business? What about when it comes to the likes of, everybody loves to have a lovely office. I mean, we have a lovely studio.
Yeah, you do.
I often ask myself, is this studio an asset?
Yeah.
Or is it a huge liability?
Yeah.
Should we be re-examining what we do and where we do it from? Should we be looking at our offices? Yeah,
I think so, absolutely. It's anything and anywhere that people come in contact with you and your business. I remember many years ago walking into a firm of accountants in Thiel, and I walked up the stairs of this Georgian building, and there was a big sign at the top, and it said, "Welcome, Steve Mills." And I thought, wow, I've been in thousands of offices and not one of them's ever bothered to do that. And I thought it just created that fantastic first impression. I went into reception. I was met by a lady, I still remember her name, it's 10, 12 years ago now, Bernadette. And Bernadette said...
You're not waiting for any phone calls from the police or anything, are you?
No. Bernadette said, can I help you? Yeah, my name's Steve Mills. I'm here to see Bob Harper. Have a seat. Would you like a coffee? I said, yes, please. Here's the menu. And she had a menu of like 6 or 7 different coffees, you know, all the different coffees we can get, and had the same on all the different teas we could get. And on the bottom, this was the clever thing, I thought, it said, if you think we take this much care of your coffee, can you imagine how much care we take of your accounts?
Ooh.
How clever
Do you know what that,
yeah?
as he said it, people were going, ooh,
yeah.
my ear.
Yeah,
they like that.
Yeah.
What a great
what a
idea!
Great idea. What does that cost? How easy is it?
When you took that idea away, how did you put it into your business? Did you use that technique yourself anymore?
Yeah, absolutely I did. I looked at everything from the way people turn up, where they park, how do they get in the door, what happens then, what happens after that happens, what happens. So we've developed a system for meetings, a way that our meeting room should be set up, the information that we're going to give them before the meeting, after the meeting. So we have I'll give you a typical example. We have an agenda for a meeting. It's a written agenda. Okay, every meeting I have, it has an agenda with a start time and, interestingly, a finish time. Yeah, because most meetings take twice as long as they were originally supposed to do. And I have a little script that I go through. I'd say to you, Steve, I've been thinking about our meeting today and I wanted to make sure that we cover everything. And so I've produced an agenda for the meeting. I'd like to show you that now. Is there anything else you'd like to add? And that, I think, my perception is, and the feedback that I get, people go, oh, right, oh. I get that sort of initial, because how often have you been into a meeting where somebody's produced a written agenda? And I think it's a good tool for positioning me as an expert in what I do, for the simple reason that it shows that I'm professional. That's my aim in that. Because, you know, when you meet someone, there's that old saying, you never get a second chance to create a great first impression. And people are making an impression of you in terms of your office, the way you look, how you sound, what you say, and, you know, your marketing materials. You know, I got a client over in Maidenhead, or a law firm, and they call themselves Maidenhead's leading law firm. And if you looked at their website, that wouldn't quite give you that impression. Let me say that. That's being polite. Okay, so
people now sitting on their laptop going, Maidenhead law firm. And that strapline.
But they are really, really good at what they do. Really professional, really friendly. Everything's great, but not all their marketing materials sing that same tune. They don't all make you think, yeah, this is a real, you know, top-notch firm. And the reason is the lack of consistency in their marketing.
So is this once again looking at what you do and looking at the name of your organisation, looking at the positioning of your organisation? Is your name an asset or is it a liability? Is this what we're doing once again?
It's absolutely
that positioning of it and making it the asset that it truly needs to be, and then following that through.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and also your services. What are your services called? Are they called accountancy services, landscape gardening services, or whatever it is you do? Or could you, you know, put that in a better box with a better title? You know, and make it actually sound like something that's, you know, not the same as everybody else, which is another saying of mine, Steve, and that is, in marketing, you've got to be outstanding by standing out. You don't even have to be better, you just have to be different. Don't do the same as everybody else so you get the same results as everybody else, and the results that most people get in marketing are not great. And so you've got to look at your business from a point of view of, how can I do this differently? Not even necessarily even better, but just differently. Most people on LinkedIn, they go on there, they set up their profile, they don't really do it that well. They occasionally connect to people. They might even post the odd thing. And that's what most people do, and most people don't want any business. Why would you want to do the same as everybody else? Why wouldn't you want to take your business from a 5 out of 10 on LinkedIn, which is average, the same as everybody else, to an 8 or 9 on LinkedIn, where the small few win all the money, get all the business?
There's a gentleman called Andrew Locke, and he says everything is marketing and marketing is everything. And I
agree.
Must agree with that. And I think we sometimes get so involved in our own businesses that we forget. One of my particular pet peeves, this actually happened to me on Saturday. I was hiring a DJ. I was comparing an event. And so I had to hire the suit out. And when I phoned in the morning, I yes, admittedly, left it a little bit late. I phoned up the actual hire shop, and I was greeted with, "Can I come in this afternoon to pick up a DJ, bow tie, suit, shirt, and everything like that?" And what actually happened was, I was greeted with this: "We're very busy."
Wow.
And I thought, at that point,
Yeah.
well, so am I. And you're telling me you're very busy. So the next question is, well, do you want my custom or don't you? Because quite frankly, you're one of a couple that I can go to. So why start the conversation with that? And being a little bit stroppy Saturday afternoon, I did go in there and I did explain that to the owner of the business.
Yeah.
And I did walk out with a 10% discount card for future hires.
Okay.
They were falling over themselves to do more for me. The problem was how many customers had picked the phone up, called them, and that was their response, because they were looking at what was happening in their business.
Yeah.
And how often do you get this when you get on IVR systems, when you're phoning maybe a bank or something like that, and the IVR system says, "We'd like to apologise for the queue, we're very busy at the moment." Well, in that case then, get more people to answer your phones, because you're making your bad management my problem. And it's unacceptable. Energy companies do it, banks do it. It drives me bananas.
Absolutely. I mean, they're losing a fortune, Steve.
Men.
No, maybe we are. But they're losing a fortune, and they're, upsetting people like you and I.
I know.
What are they doing?
I know.
Come on, get your act together. And they've been doing this for years.
The worst message to get on an IVR system is, we're just moaning now, but the worst message to get on an IVR system is, "We are very sorry for the delay. We have got a high number of calls," and there's a gap, and then it goes, "You are caller number 1." And you think you're there for 15 minutes. That is not a high number of calls, okay? No. Anyway, enough of this. My guest on today's show is Steve Mills, the prudent marketer, and we're talking about how to identify assets and liabilities. Listen, if you're running a company like that at the moment, we do apologise for it, but maybe just stop for a moment.
Yeah.
Your IVR system, the way you answer your phones, your receptionist, has he been trained to answer the phones correctly? Are you using the right linguistics within your organisation to empower the customer when they come through? It doesn't have to be factually correct. Thank you very much for calling. I'd like to come in. We'd love you to come in. Could you come in at 2:30 this afternoon? If you come in right now, we can give you a nice cup of tea, but there may be a short wait. All of a sudden, it's a different message you're sending out. You're not saying, "Hey, we're too busy to talk to you. You come whenever we're good and ready." No, it's the other way around. Customers, just try and remember that with your business. Look at the people that are answering your phone. Are they an asset? Are they a liability? Is the message that you're giving out on your phone, is it an asset to your business, the way you're saying it? Or is it a liability? My guest of today's show, we're talking all things when it comes to assets and liabilities, is the prudent marketer, Steve Mills. I'm going to have to come down off the soapbox right now. So what about, we were talking about the buildings, and we're talking about staff again. Is this where we need to be looking? Is it the services within the organisation we need to be looking at? Is it a case that we need to just step back and sometimes analyse what we're doing, where we're doing, and maybe the whole business, identifying whether the business in general is an asset or a liability.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely 100% right, Steve. Is this business an asset or a liability? How much money is this business making? Because that's the purpose of the business. That's why we're in business, to make money. And there are only two ways of increasing the amount of profit that we make that I'm aware of. One is to reduce costs, and the other is to increase sales. And so if that's the objective of a business, to reduce costs and increase sales, we can reduce costs instantly, can't we? We can do
Fire
that.
people.
Yeah.
And you see that, particularly when you get somebody
Yeah.
from an accountant comes in as a CEO.
Yeah.
His way will be to reduce
costs.
Reduce
away.
costs
Because
straight
that's
away.
what they're an accountant. That's what they do. They focus
So they're
on.
not imaginative.
No,
they're not progressive in the way they think.
No, and so we can save 5% here, 10% there, maybe 20%. Who knows? But the truth of the matter is, if you want long-term increased profit, the real way of doing it is to leverage sales and increase sales. Got to get, how many sales could we get? It really depends on what you want and what sort of level you want to get your business to eventually. But if that's the case, then there are three ways of doing that. One is to get more customers. Two is to get more out of each customer. In other words, increase the average unit of sale. And three is to increase the frequency of repurchase. So to use a sort of supermarket metaphor, I've got to get more people in the door of my supermarket. I've got to get them to fill their baskets more, or with more expensive products or profitable products and services. And then I've got to get them to come back more often. And again, what do most people focus on in terms of their marketing? Is how do I get more customers, which is the most tough, expensive and difficult thing to do. So there's often, I say to people, there's a little gold mine sitting in your business, and that is your current and your past customers, people that know you, like you and trust you. Are we really maximising them? How often are you keeping in touch with people? Because most small businesses, well, they get a quarterly newsletter. And I say, come on, how can you keep a relationship with somebody? It's like, I meet a young lady. We go out tonight.
Be careful, though.
Yeah, no, I know. I need to be very careful, trust me. But if I meet a young lady, we go out tonight, and I say to her, look, I've really enjoyed tonight, and I tell you what I'll do. I'll email you in 3 months' time, and we can go out again. How's that sound? That's not going to work in that romantic situation, is it? And neither does it in business. We've got to keep in regular contact. You're on my email list. You'll hear from me at least every week, Steve.
But there is a danger, isn't there? Some people see it as a danger that it then becomes spam.
Yeah.
So where does that
Yeah.
asset become a liability?
Yeah, I think the asset becomes, the liability becomes an asset by the quality of that email. So if I'm sending emails every week to you, Steve, and they're basically saying, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that? Do you want to buy the other? It actually becomes a liability, because you're thinking, this guy Steve's an absolute, pain. He's just always trying to sell me something every day, and I get his emails, and eventually you go, right, that's it, I'm going to delete. I'm going to remove myself from his email list. If I'm sending out emails that have got really useful information, some tips, some ideas, a video of me that
We like videos.
that really I can be enthusiastic and explain and demonstrate my expertise, then people stay, because it's really, really useful.
And they do say, don't they, when it comes to the database, that to get a new customer is more expensive than revitalising an old customer.
Yeah.
However, a delinquent customer, somebody who doesn't want to hear from you, can be quite expensive and time consuming as well. You've done a very interesting thing where you've turned your personal database from what is a liability into an asset. And of course, we've got the general data protection regulations. They're going to be coming in a year's time. And I heard this story earlier on from Steve, and I thought to myself, we should all be doing this, because I was at a particular talk a few weeks back, in fact, and there was a guy sitting there, and the presenter, who just happened to be Linda, was talking about the right to be forgotten, the integrity of your database. And this guy was sitting about, he's got, I've got people on my database from 10 years ago, he said. 10 10 years. 10 years they've been on my database. Okay. So when was the last time you contacted them? 10 years ago. But I mean, but they're on my database, and we are lost in this whole world of the vanity of numbers. Yeah. You were saying earlier on, a year ago, how big was your database?
About 25,000.
Your database today is?
It's about 11.
So you've now got a laser-focused asset within your business of potential customers.
Yeah, and because I keep in regular contact, everybody and anybody who doesn't want my emails, my useful information, they've already gone. Okay, we'll lose the odd one every now and again, and we gain the odd 10 or 20 on a fairly regular basis. You know, when somebody connects to me on LinkedIn, I add them in there and so on and so forth. But it's a much, much more focused database, and I get a much higher open rate. I don't want to send emails out to people who are not interested. Why would I want to do that? So for me, if somebody unsubscribes from my email list, that's a good thing. So I've got rid of somebody who doesn't even want to receive my emails. So they're probably never going to buy from me.
The other thing that you said to us, and I think this is a great idea, if you have a database, is that you said if they do not open or respond to your emails over a 6-month period, then you remove them.
Yeah, well, I don't even do that. The Infusionsoft removes them for me. I've just adjusted the settings that says if they don't actually read my emails after 6 months, they just get binned. Because you know they've had so many weekly email at least, Steve, and they've had it for 6 months. They've not even looked. Why do I want to continue to pester those people? I don't.
If you want to get all Steve's emails and his links as well, and also find out more, you can go to his website at theprudentmarketer.com. It is a cracking website, and there's all sorts of things that you can get on there. We've got support. You can see the different levels of support if you're looking for support within your business. Software that is available, the social media portal, conversion rate optimization system, strategic planning software. There's coaching. Does a lot of coaching. I've been on a couple of Steve's courses, particularly on LinkedIn, and they are what a worthwhile morning that is. It really is worth doing. Different events that he goes to as well, and also a little bit more about Steve as well for that particular matter. It's a great website, and don't forget there are also some books. Are the books available on Amazon, by the way?
They are, yeah.
Very good indeed. Yeah. Now, listen, we always ask our guests at the end the key takeaways. We've been talking about assets and liabilities today. What assets do you have in your business? What liabilities do you have in your business? How do you identify them, and how do you change a liability into an asset? Steve, say who you are, where you're from, straight down camera. Number 4. The airwaves, as always, are all yours.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Yeah, so Steve Mills, the Prudent Marketer, and I'd like to make listeners an offer today, and that is 2 different things. One, I'd like to offer you a free, what I call a results meeting, where you can come along with me, be it in my office or online, and we can review the effectiveness of your marketing. Alternatively, in the next few months, I've got several dates which are on my website of results workshops. Again, for all listeners of Business Connections Live, I'd like to offer you a free place. I really want you to take action to grow your business as a result of both myself and Steve being here and helping you today. So take action. 2 websites to tell you about, as Steve said, the prudentmarketer.com. I've also got a Steve Mills website, which is stevemills.co. So either of those websites, go and take a look. But most of all, take action to grow your business. Thanks very much for listening.
I'm just getting the stevemills.co. I hope I get it up there in time. It's looking for it. Is this it?
That's it.
This is it. Here it is. So I've got the website. There it is. This is the stevemills.co website. Some really good content. Sign up for the complimentary business results coaching session. Easy for me to say. That's a nice site.
Thank you.
That looks
it's my
really
new
nice.
site.
Yeah, lots of nice videos on there as well.
Yeah.
Asking the question all the way. You know, sometimes just look at some of this content and think to yourself, how could I implement some of those ideas into my own website, cracking website? And as I said, if you want to see that one, then it's stevemills.co. Listen, Steve.
If listeners look at the free resources section there, Steve, there's loads and loads of free stuff on there that people can have a look at. So loads of great tips and ideas and videos and so on and so forth.
We're all there. Brilliant.
Okay.
Absolutely fantastic.
Thanks for having me again, Steve.
No, thank you very much indeed. And as I said, if you go to our website at businessconnectionslive.com, you'll find a whole page of information, the core messages that we've been trying to get across today. Show notes are all there as well. If you're downloading on iTunes, you get the show notes there as well. If you're listening on Blueberry or Stitcher or Ustream or any of the other platforms that we're on at the moment, you maybe don't get all the information. For instance, on Facebook you get some of it, on YouTube you get some of it, but if you want all of it, then you need to go to businessconnectionslive.com. All right, that practically wraps up today's show. It's been great to have Steve in the studio. Always enjoy his company. You're going to be back with us at the party as well on Monday the 18th, aren't you? Yes.
Indeed, yeah.
So we've got our Christmas party one on Monday the 18th of December, where hopefully all sorts of guests will be turning up. We'll be getting that little bit of advice for Christmas. Coming up on future programmes, here's a person I've never heard of before, Linda Bazant, GDPR lawyer and consultant. We're going to be talking more about the general data protection regulations. A lot of people really, really worried about this. We touched on the fact that you've got to get your lists in order, your mailing lists, your email marketing lists, you've got to get them in order. You've got to understand about the right to be forgotten, how people can now, how that's changing. How does your CRM system, how does your Infusionsoft system, how does that handle people who come to you and say, I don't want to be on your list anymore? How do you actually forget them, and how do you forget them in the background when it comes to the backups that you have as well? Where do you stop and what is reasonable? Linda's going to be explaining that. Louise Punter, she is the CEO of the Surrey Chamber of Commerce. She's also going to be promoting as well on the particular programme all sorts of things when it comes to exporting. Stuart Miller from Warwick Legal, he's going to be joining us on the show. We've got Penny Power, OBE, she's going to be on the show as well. Sylvia Baldock, who is a great speaker. She's all about your personal presence and your branding. It's all about branding with Sylvia. And don't forget, all of them are going to be joining us at the Christmas party on a pass on guests on Monday the 18th. And I've just been told Louise is going to be coming on. We're going to be talking about the budget that is coming up at the moment. Does Mr. Hammond have an opportunity? Does he have an asset or does he have a liability? It's on the 20th of November, is that right? 22nd of November, of course, is the budget. We're all waiting somewhat cautiously for that one, aren't we? It could be an interesting year, this one.
It is.
Will he make it to the budget is the other question.
Very good question.
Will any of them make it to the budget? We do wonder, don't we? I'll tell you what, it's time to get out of here then, is it? All right then. Thank you very much indeed for your company today. Hope you've enjoyed today's programme. We're going to be doing it all again next Monday. We're going to be doing it live next week. Till then, have a great week. From me, Steve Harlan. Bye for now. Bye-bye.